Right, hello there. Welcome to my Let's Learn the Track series on iRacing. This season, we're going to be covering the BMW 12.0 series, which is kindly sponsored by simrigs.com. So please check out their website in the video description. Now, videos will be published weekly to coincide with the track changeover, and the intention of this series is to help you gain back that lost time. So this isn't a place for hot laps, this is a slow, methodical approach to learn the track, showing you my braking markers and my reference points. And as always, please let me know in the comments if this helps and you've managed to gain any time. Thanks for watching. Right, hello folks, welcome to week 2 of this season's Let's Learn the Track videos from the gorgeous Detroit Belle Isle. This series is sponsored by simrigs.com, so please have a look in the video description at their website. Belle Isle, really tough track, bumpy, surrounded by walls. The trick to having a decent lap at Belle Isle, in my opinion, is trying to make the track as wide as you possibly can. Usual Let's Learn the Track stuff. We're going to go out there, we're going to do a couple of slow laps. I'm going to show you my braking markers and reference points, and then we'll slowly pick up the pace to try and show you those in action. I'm using iRacing default weather, so I'll put the weather on screen now so you can see what it is, and obviously using the baseline setup. The only thing I'm going to change is the brake bias. I'm going to knock that down to 51.1. The BMW seems to stop a lot better with the brake bias a bit further back. Because of the bumpy circuit, it's dead easy to lock up the front wheels. Anyway, enough waffling on, let's get out there on track. So here we are then, on pit lane. There's not a great deal to worry about at Belle Isle, as normal, with plenty of tracks until you exit pit lane. And then you're pretty much on the racing line, on the exit of turn number 1. So we'll just have a look at that as we exit the pits. So we stay on the right of this white line, hugging this wall, but then when we get round here, this is pretty much where people are going to be on the racing line there. So bear that in mind, keep an eye on your relative, which is F3 on the keyboard by default. So for this turn, we're going to be over to the left hand side, and what I use is my reference points. You can see here, so we've got the 400 board there, and you can see I'll use my mouse cursor. There's this dirty piece or this mark on the wall there. I brake generally around about there, between there and the 400. That's what I brake for this turn. So you can see that with your peripheral vision. When that disappears, you've got to be on the brakes. Now try and keep the car as far over to the left hand side as you possibly can. Now this is one of the only corners at Belle Isle which you can cut. You can get away with taking a little bit of this curb, so just be on a nice neutral throttle when you do jump over the curb. And this is the only place at Belle Isle where you're going to get an off track. So bear that in mind. Try not to get a couple of wheels on the grass. So we're second gear, then up to third, and then we're braking here for this turn here. So there's not really a great deal as far as braking markers go, or reference points here. You're just pretty much going to have to go off feel for this one. The tarmac will be slightly darker where it's rubbered in, but if you come out there in second, short shift to third, it's a very short spurt in third gear before you've got to be back down to second for this one. Again, try and keep it as wide as you can, but if you get a wheel on that grass, then you're into that tyre wall straight ahead, so bear that in mind. So again, don't clip the curb if you can help it. Try and keep the track as wide as you possibly can. Then we're back up to third, and here for my braking marker, you can see the red and white boarding on the right hand side. So it's before there. If you're braking at the boarding, you're too late. So brake before there. So probably round about here, probably around about 10-15 meters before that board. So we're going to be on the brakes, back down into second gear. Again, try not to go on the curb because that's really high, but try and run out wide up to third gear, then back over to the left for one of the most important turns on the circuit in my opinion. So we're going to be right over to the left, as far left as you possibly can, and turning blind at this one, and there's a really horrible wall on the inside that's caught me out more times than I'd like to tell you. So we're going to be in second gear, and we're going to be nice trail braking, Just when we get to the apex, then we're going to be exiting full throttle out of here, but bear in mind it's really bumpy and the car will be all over the place. So bear that in mind. You'll see that when we're on a flying lap, how bumpy that is. So we're going to be right over to the right hand side, all the way up here, because we want to try and square off our braking area here. So then we're going to be approaching this turn, and you can see the Corvette sign, the 400 board. So just before the 400 board, that's where I brake generally. We're going to be braking in a straight line. This one, you can cut this curb a little bit as well, but it's a little bit more aggressive than the other one, so I tend to try not to. So second gear, then accelerate up here. So just before the bridge, you want to be on the brakes. Less is definitely more here. You can try and brake a little bit later there, but there are a few bumps and the car does get unsettled. So if you can brake early, get the car settled down into first gear for this next left, it will pay dividends. So braking, again, don't go on the curbs. So it's first gear, then accelerating out into second. I like to go into third here, just to stop the car wheel spinning, just off the throttle and cutting it back for this right-hander here. So it's down to first gear. This is so bumpy. Again, don't go on the curb. You'll see the bumps when we're on a flying lap. It's ridiculous. Then accelerating up here. Then you're going to be down into second, just before the 200. You can see it there. So before the 200, kind of between the 3 and the 2, we're going to be braking down into second gear for this one. So on the brakes here, you can get on the gas quite early through this one though. So if you brake, you can get on the gas here, let the car run out wide, short shift to third, and then use all of the track for turn number 1 essentially. So here I brake just before the 300 board, right over to the left hand side, just before the 300, and we're going to be trail braking. We're going to be down into fourth, down into third. We're going to be trail braking, and a late apex for this one. I want to be apexing round about here because we want the car over here by this wall. And then we're going to be feathering the throttle round here because it is really bumpy. Accelerating, the car will want to oversteer because there's a crest. And then run it right out wide. It's all about using as much track as you possibly can. So again, we're going to be braking. Look at that 400 board, there it is. Let's cut this one just a little bit. Don't get two wheels in the grass. So there we go, short, shift to third, then back down to second. Use all of the track. Into third again, just before the boarding, down to second gear. Again, let it run out wide to the wall, into third, then back down to second. Turn in early, you won't be able to see that turning point as you approach. And we're going to have the car right up to the right hand side because we want to make our braking area as straight as we possibly can. So just before the 400, down into second gear. You can cut that one if you wish. So just before the bridge, we're going to be braking down into first gear. And up into second gear, up into third gear. Then just off the throttle, let the car just rotate round. And down into second, and then down to first. Tyres are still really cold, the wheels are locking up. So just before the 200 ball, we're going to be braking down into second gear. Then on the gas as early as we possibly can, short shift to third. Use all of the track. We'll go through that one more time. So we're going to be braking here just before the 300. Down to fourth, down to third, trail braking all the way around, get the car over to this point, and then you can accelerate out of this turn, because any speed that you carry through that turn, you're going to carry all the way up here, which is one of the main overtaking opportunities at Belle Isle. So we're braking just before the 400, down to second gear, we're going to cut that corner, short shift to third, then back down to second. Again up to third, and then back down to second. Use all of the track, maybe not that much. Just graze the wall a little bit there. You're going to do that quite a lot at Belle Isle. As long as you just graze the wall, then you're perfectly fine. So try and make this braking area as straight as you possibly can. So just before the 400, down into second gear. So you can cut that one a little bit, but it's not as forgiving as the first corner. So The tyres are still really cold. You've got to be careful with cold tyres here at Belle Isle, because the bumps will catch you out, especially on that little area there, that transition from left to right. The car can lock up there under braking and have you facing the wrong way. Right, we'll try and get some heat into the tyres and we'll resume when they're nice and warm. We'll try and do a couple of flying laps. Right, here we are then. We're going to be going on to lap number 5. We'll try and pick up the pace a little bit now. So we're going to be braking just before the 300, down into 4th, down to 3rd. Try and hold the brakes, apex that one quite late. Then you can just feed the throttle in here. Use all of the track. The car is a bit loose around there, but there's quite a bit of downforce. So you're okay. So we're looking for that mark on the wall there. There it is. So down into 2nd gear. Cut this corner. Get on the gas nice and early. Stay off the grass. Short shift to 3rd. Then back down to 2nd. Try and use all of the track. Same again. Then down to 2nd gear. Try and stay off the curbs. So the trick here is making the track as wide as you possibly can. So we'll open this up and try and straighten our braking area. So just before the 400, I'm going to be braking down into 2nd gear. So just before the bridge, braking down to 1st gear, then 2nd, then up to 3rd. So just hold the throttle around here, just ease off just to get the car to rotate, then down at 1st for this right-hander. That's really tricky, that one. So we're braking just before the 200, down into 2nd gear. Then on the gas, let the car run out wide, make it as wide as you possibly can. That's how rough it is. It sparked my mouse into life there. So brake just before the 300, trail braking all the way around. And get on the gas nice and early. That's a little bit better. That last one was a 28.2, see if we can beat that. So braking just before the 400. Down to 2nd gear, clip this curb. Short shift to 3rd and back down to 2nd. See, I got on the grass there. It just sucks you in if you get on the grass. So we're up slightly. So just before the 400 we're going to be braking down into 2nd gear. Just before the bridge, braking down to 1st gear, up to 2nd, up to 3rd, off the gas, just let the car rotate round, down to 2nd, down to 1st. That's much better. See the bumps there on exit? Awful. So just before the 200, braking down to 2nd gear, on the gas, short shift to 3rd, use all the track. You're going to be brave here at Belle Isle. And over the line. So what's that, a 27.68. Definitely going a little bit quicker than that. The braking markers that I've shown you are conservative, so if you do feel a bit more confident, then feel free. Just push those on a few metres. Good fun round Belle Isle though. So there we go. That's a couple of laps around Belle Isle. Hopefully that helps. My advice is try and make the track as wide as you possibly can. Easier said than done, I know, when there's walls either side, but if you practice getting up close to the walls and using as much track as you can, then that's where you're going to get your time from. There's a couple of hard braking areas where obviously you can make a couple of moves, but the rest of the time it's about being smooth and staying out of the walls. Let me know in the comments how you get on this week. Does this help? Has this helped you get a win? Let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to know how you get on and if it does help or not. But anyway, I hope to see you on track. Have a good week. I'll see you later. Cheers.